Thank you, Madam President. Good afternoon. I too rise to speak on this agreement. Madam President, I don't know if the other side of the aisle got a copy of this, but we have Office of Legislative Research documents, Office of Fiscal Analysis documents. There are pages and pages that I think we could all pour through and choose a reason or two to support, 100 reasons to support, or 100 reasons to oppose. But I would take us back to what got us started here. The governor, in his opening comments, said that in an effort to try and balance the budget, he was going to achieve $700 million per year in savings in labor concessions. He didn't say he was going to achieve $700 million in labor concessions per year, and oh, by the way, at the same time, give up 58 pages, in some cases, of labor concessions. We didn't hear him say that there was going to be an extension of the SEBAC agreement. We didn't hear him say there was going to be an extension of any other agreement. And yet, I think we all knew that some of this was going to happen somewhere along the line. Like Senator Larson, I drove in here thinking to myself, you know, the guy out picking up garbage on 84 today before they mow the lawn, does he really know what's in this agreement, or she? My guess is no. My guess is that my neighbors and your neighbors didn't know that in this agreement there are 150 or 250 in some cases more hours so the union can negotiate or do whatever else they would like to do as a part of achieving this agreement. That's what they got. You can't deny it. It's in here. It's on about 6 different pages. In some days, they are hundreds of person days. It's not hours. These are whole days. So that's really what I think this is about. This isn't about whether our neighbors had agreed to come to the table and accept furlough days. Do they want them? No. Would they give them? Yes. Accept a wage freeze? Does anybody want a wage freeze? No one wants a wage freeze. But what's it in the context of? If this was another corporation, I can tell you most of our districts include people that would have accepted a wage freeze and furlough days and increased payment for health care and increased payment for pension if the company that they worked for was still here. Senator Larson's quite right. Would we be the same state if we didn't plow the highways? If we didn't care for our poor? Would we be the same state if we didn't have anybody watching the prison? No, we wouldn't be the same state. But that is not what this is about. What this is about is whether or not this agreement puts us on sound enough footing to move forward. And I would say to you that I think it's too rich. It's not rich for the guy or the gal that gave up the furlough day. It's not too rich for the person who agreed to a wage freeze. It's not even probably too rich for somebody who is just getting here that may not get what somebody who's been here for a long time has been able to get in terms of pension benefits or health care benefits. But just look at these numbers. We've gone from $5 to $10 on a copay for generic drugs, 5 to 10. If any one of us repeated that to our constituents, we would be laughed out of wherever we were. They went to $250 for non-emergency use of a hospital. How many times have we harped on the situation that you should be going to wellness centers? We have school-based health clinics. We have every opportunity to help people get better. The last place you should be going to is a hospital with the sniffles, and it's in this contract that you're going to have to pay up to $250. How about you can't go there? How about you do what my constituents do? You can't go there. If it's non-emergency, it doesn't matter whether it's $35 or $250. I've said for a long time to our caucus, if we can't, as part of this agreement, draw a line in the sand and say the generation after certain date, July 1st, 2017, October 1st, 2017, is a new day. Every business in this state of Connecticut, insurance business, major manufacturer is going to say, this is just a flavor of what we've had. That's my fear. That's my fear. I've had conversations for the last 3 months with my constituents, some state employees and some not. They're concerned. They're concerned that maybe what they did wasn't enough. They're concerned that maybe what we would expect would be too much more. If we don't get this right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm afraid that it's not going to get us where we need to be. Senator France spoke earlier about, the state of Connecticut's economy. You only need to look at tax revenue, and if you don't believe tax revenue, look at automobile sales. Off 10% between 15 and 16, continuing on that trend in 17. The sales tax implications just in that one issue was over 70 million last year. Those are not good bellwether signs, ladies and gentlemen. Those are bad signs. And so to have a no layoff clause, and I really believe it is a no layoff clause, you have to jump through hoops, you have to offer all sorts of opportunities, and at the end of the day, still in some cases, you still can't lay somebody off. We need the ability to completely reorganize the state of Connecticut. And I know what that means. I know that in some cases that probably is going to mean the loss of a job. But that's the only way the state is really going to get on the right track. So there are many reasons in this document. 58 pages in this one, I think probably 20 in the other. I can go union by union, agreement by agreement. I can agree or disagree with Senator Austin about what they say. I wouldn't challenge her on the history of union organization in the state of Connecticut because I think she knows it better than any of us. But that's not what this is about. What this was about was trying to achieve a savings at a time when we had a deficit of $1.5 billion. And knowing that it's grown since it first came out, we all got the same news. OFA came to pay us the visit, long face, revenues down. We all knew that the target had to be higher. So I would suggest to you that as painful as this may be individually for people, as reasonable as it may appear in terms of the amount of money that it is stated to achieve, the truth of the matter is it may not be enough. And we may have completely missed the target with the next generation of state employee. That was the opportunity that I think most people in the business community are waiting for. They're waiting for us to make that Rhode Island statement, which wasn't bust the union. It was to rebase, just like Sikorsky did, just like Pratt & Whitney has done, just like any large employer has done. They have completely revamped the way they do wages, benefits, and pension. But that's not what we've done here. I also think that I heard that the governor has been quoted as turning this down would violate collective bargaining. I disagree. If he turned it down, that would violate collective bargaining because he was a party to the negotiation. This is our role. Our role is to vote yes or no. And voting no doesn't necessarily mean that it's all wrong, that it's all bad. It may be that it missed the target. It may be that it doesn't do enough here and it needs to do more there. But we can do that by just giving some guidance. No, I think what happened is the governor had this in the done pile. This folder was on the done pile on his desk. And that's what he'd like to see, is to have it be done. I would suggest that if we vote no today, it merely takes it off the done pile and puts it back into the reconsideration pile. There's no reason we can't achieve the right outcome through this agreement. My neighbors are still my neighbors. They still want to help the state of Connecticut. I don't think they want to have anyone point out some of the things that are in this agreement that don't inure to them. I think they'd be embarrassed to know how many different groups have free tuition for their children. I think they'd be embarrassed to know $30,000 stipends to be paid for a signing bonus for doctors. There are some things in here that I think most of us would have a hard time explaining to our best friends. And that isn't what the DOT people that work in Litchfield County negotiated for. They don't want to be viewed as getting too much. They want to be responsible. They want to be reasonable. And they are, as Senator Larson said, hardworking people. So I would suggest that by turning this down, we merely take it out of the finished business done pile and put it in the reconsideration pile and be very clear about what we think we would like to see in this agreement. Perhaps we don't need more furlough days. Perhaps we don't need another year of a wage freeze. Perhaps we can draw that line somewhere and make the real distinction between a Connecticut that succeeds and a Connecticut that is just some flavor of the last 10 years, or pick a date where we're just not getting off the ground. We need to get off the ground here in the state of Connecticut, not only for our private sector employees, but our state employees. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, sir. Senator Bai.